Lishana Tova. At the Lobel homestead, I traditionally do all of the cooking. I honestly enjoy being in the kitchen, preparing a meal for my family, picky as my kids can be. However, there are days when I'm not in the mood, there's no time to cook, so I pick up the phone, call up our favorite pizzeria, maybe a Chinese restaurant, and problem solved. Nowadays, we don't even need to call up for delivery. We've got an app on our phone. With the advent of Uber Eats and DoorDash and all of the like, we can just tap a few buttons and voila, a courier delivers a wonderful meal to our doorstep. Everything is even prepaid. No fuss, no muss, leave it at the door. We are living in a time when at the push of a button, we can take care of so many of life's little hassles. Don't have time to shop for groceries? Your supermarket will deliver to your door. Having an issue with a home repair, someone will be right over with a toolkit. Need a ride to the airport? Uber or Lyft will pick you up in a moment's time. On and on it goes. Anything we need but don't actually want to do ourselves can be handled for us. If only there were an app which, when activated, automatically solved all of life's problems. A tikkun program which we could initiate whenever we needed help. Maybe it could be like a Jewish bat signal that would shine a Jewish star in the sky when we needed help with a challenging issue. But why stop there? Let's think bigger. If only someone could fix all of the world's ills, the many societal ailments ever present across the globe. Actually, in Jewish tradition, we have a name for this individual, the Moshiach, the Messiah. The Jewish fascination with the concept of the Messiah, a transcendent, redemptive, salvific, semi-divine figure whose arrival signals the next phase of human existence, has long persisted in our tradition. Dating back thousands of years when the Jewish people languished under Greek, Roman, or Ottoman rule, our ancestors looked up to the heavens for a divine emissary to save them from peril, to redeem them from the fists of tyrants. Throughout our history, there have been folks who either thought of themselves as a Messiah or, more commonly, had that mantle foisted upon them. Most famously, Jesus of Nazareth, whom you might have heard developed quite a bit of a following that continues today. However, others such as Bar Kokhba, he of the ill-fated rebellion, 17th century ecstatic Sabbatai Zvi, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneerson also had and have their followers who believe that they were God's anointed deliverer. It goes without saying their acolytes were disappointed. When their destiny was not in their own hands, our ancestors prayed for salvation. But alas, no Messiah appeared out of thin air to redeem our people. Nevertheless, the messianic theology and ideology still permeates Jewish tradition, centering on the prophet Elijah. Towards the conclusion of our Passover Seder, a ritual whose essence is a celebration of redemptive triumph, we open the door for Elijah, symbolizing our hope for the dawning of a utopian age of peace and tranquility. And if we don't want to wait until Pesach, our yearning for the Messiah is expressed at the end of every week when we gather together for Havdalah. For as we say goodbye to Shabbat, we conclude by singing Eliyahu HaNavi, which pleads, Bimheira b'yameinu yavo eleinu im Moshiach ben David. May he speedily in our own day return to us with the Messiah, the son of David. Messianism is alive and well in Jewish tradition. But should it be? On the surface, the hope for the coming of the Messiah seems innocent enough. During dark times, we may long for some outer force to fix all that ails us, to rescue us from the muck and mire in which we find ourselves enmeshed. We pray, arms outstretched, for salvation to come to us, a healing balm for our wearied souls. We want someone else to fix what is awry, for what is broken to be mended. While that's all well and good to pray for a salvific figure to descend from the clouds to make all things better, it can't be our only approach. For there is a troubling passivity to the idea of messianism. Waiting around for a Messiah to fix things feels like an abandonment, a rejection of our own power to create change. It is an abdication of our responsibility to do the work ourselves. Admittedly, it is fantastic when a click of a link, a push of a button, or even a phone call can resolve any problem. However, that solution is not always available. That's not how life works. Sometimes we need to take matters into our own hands. And if we require any proof, we need look no further than the creation of the state of Israel. This past year, Israel celebrated its 75th anniversary. It was a time of great joy and exultation, a time to revel in the successes of the Zionist enterprise. Who would have thought that from the vision of the pioneers like Theodor Herzl, Ze'ev Jabotinsky, and Leo Pinsker, the modern state of Israel would emerge, an economic, technological, and military powerhouse. A country whose early immigrants struggled to make the desert bloom, now developing the most cutting-edge agricultural advances in the world. A people twice exiled from their homeland, a people rising from the ashes of the Shoah to reestablish a national identity after 2,000 years of longing. Finally, we realized our dream, Lihiot Am Chovchi Be'artzenu, to be a free people in our own land. The state of Israel was born. However, we must remember that not everyone supported the creation of the Jewish state, even among the Jewish community. Despite all the oppression the Jews suffered living amongst the nations, despite their fervent longing for a return to Israel, some in the Jewish world vociferously opposed the efforts of the Zionist movement. They believed only God could redeem us, that the Jewish state could not be established through political developments in the secular world, through UN resolutions, through diplomatic efforts. It was God's sole right to redeem the Jewish people from exile. And still to this day, there are members of the Jewish world, specifically the Haredim, who still hold firm to this belief, even those who live in Israel. For them, the strivings of those committed to the establishment of the Jewish state stands in direct opposition to their belief in patiently waiting for the Messiah to redeem the Jewish people. But the founders of the Jewish state could not wait around for the Messiah to descend from the heavens to herald the creation of a sovereign state. Instead, they did it themselves. So it must be with us. The high holy days are a time of redemption. In the Talmud, the sages teach us that in this very month we enter this evening, the month of Tishrei, the Jewish people will be redeemed with the coming of the Messiah. Further, the sound of the shofar is the cry of redemption. It expresses the hope for Jewish unity, a return to Eretz Yisrael, to Ka b'shofar gadol lecherutenu, sound the great shofar of our freedom, and raise the banner to gather in our exiles. This hope for restoration is also echoed in the book of Isaiah. And in that day, the great ram's horn shall be sounded, and all shall come and worship the Eternal on the holy mount in Jerusalem. But just as the shofar does not sound itself, salvation does not happen by itself. We need to put in the effort. During this sacred season, our thoughts turn to the hope of tikkun, the hope of repair. The new year brings with it the possibility of transformation, an opportunity to start over with a clean slate. The potential is there, but will we grasp it? Or will it slip through our fingers? Change is hard work. Engaging in the work of tikkun etzem, the repair of the self, can be exhausting. We long for that promotion, but the requirements feel out of reach. We strive to eat healthier, but that second piece of pie beckons to us. We want to repair a relationship, but we are too afraid to make the phone call, to offer up the olive branch. These examples and countless more weigh heavily on us. What we wouldn't give to be able to put down our burdens and move forward, freed of our struggles once and for all. My friends, if we want to change our circumstances, we need to put in the work. For no Messiah is going to float down and with a wave of their hand, cure us of our bad habits, help us take the next step in our careers, or smooth things out with a loved one. No divine messenger is going to transform us into the person we are meant to be. Hopefully, we'll have family and friends supporting us when we engage in the work of self-improvement, but in the end, it's up to us to strive to be better. We might be scared. We might feel hopeless. We may feel frustrated by prior failures. We would love to press a button and make it all better, but there is no shortcut. No one galloping over the hilltop bearing the key to our personal redemption. No one can do it for us. We must do it ourselves. If we wait for a Messiah to fix what is wrong with us, we'll be sitting here again next year, expressing the same hopes, same yearnings for change. So let's not wait any longer. Let's commit to the work true tikkun requires, for when we put in the effort, it is an act of self-salvation. We redeem ourselves from the pain and suffering caused by our misdeeds, our negative behaviors, and the pain of strained and broken relationships. We are our own Messiah. The high holy days are also a time to reflect on the state of our world. Hayom Harat Olam, today is the day of the world's birth, a time of creation and renewal. According to tradition, on this day God established the earth and all that dwells upon it. We are God's passion project, an effort which pleased the Holy One, and God saw and proclaimed it good. But I wonder, if God is looking down, taking note of the state of our world, would God still be pleased? Or would God be concerned and wonder if humanity is on the wrong path? The national mood is defined by trepidation and anxiety. How often do we wring our hands about the condition of our community, our state, our nation, our world? We kvetch to our family and friends. We post articles on social media. We listen endlessly to the news, to podcasts, despairing the problems afflicting society. Precious few feel optimistic about our country's future. We know the world is in need of tikkun, and the sooner, the better. It can be overwhelming to think about getting involved in tikkun olam, the repair of the world. Where does one even begin? It is tempting to sit back and remain unengaged in the troubles of our world. The problems seem so vast. Who but a messianic figure could come and fix all that is wrong? But this is not how we should act. According to the Talmud, if a person can speak out and protest against the transgressions of their community, but chooses not to, this person becomes responsible for all of the community's wrongdoing. Even more so, if a person finds themselves in a position to protest against the misdeeds of the whole world, but chooses not to, they are held responsible for the fate of the world. Just as we cannot wait for someone to fix the brokenness which exists in our souls, so we cannot expect some divine figure to descend from the heavens to fix the brokenness of our world. Apathy is not an option. Engaging in the holy work of tikkun olam is an obligation we all share, an active process which requires our participation. Now is the time to join an organization dedicated to fighting for our values. It is the moment to find a service project committed to helping others. It is a time to raise our voices in protest against injustice and inequality. If we are upset with the condition of the world, of the mess that our society is in, Don't sit back and complain. Pick up a mop and begin cleaning up. My friends, praying for the world to be redeemed through the coming of the Messiah has its place. There's nothing wrong with faith, but it does not absolve us of doing our part. We must put in the work, striving, struggling for positive change in our community, our state, our country, and our world. Never underestimate the effect one person can have in creating change. For salvation may not, in fact, come from above. Perhaps salvation is in our hands, as when we perform acts of tikkun olam, we become redeemers of the world. The enduring belief in the coming of the Messiah, of the dawning of a messianic age, represents a hope for a brighter, better tomorrow. But we don't have to wait one more moment for this vision to become reality. As we enter into this new year, let us take hold of our opportunity to create a better self, to create a better world. Commit to the work as if your life depends on it, for it may. Commit to the work as if the fate of the world depends upon it, because it does. There is no Messiah, and you are it. Shabbat Shalom and L'Shana Tova.